cozy gamers, and welcome back to the Cozy Gaming Club, where we talk about all the latest and greatest cozy games. Today we're trying out the demo for Tiny Glade, and you know me, I can't just build something pretty, so I set a goal. I set a big goal. I want to try and build the Disney castle in Tiny Glade. Is this a dumb idea? Maybe. But let's give it a try. Immediately after loading up the demo, I realized this may not be as smooth sailing as I hoped. The area for building was quite small, and I wasn't sure how I was going to fit a castle into that. Now, a smart person may have had a play around before recording this video, but not me. I just dove straight in, but thankfully this game is very intuitive. I decided to start by building the front towers. You can see me trying to decide how tall to make this one, followed by deciding how to build a gate. I went for the good old wall with an archway through it, which I saw in the trailer, but I had a lot of trouble making it into a straight line. That said, the sound effects are really satisfying, so I didn't mind doing it a couple of times. With my wall built, it was time to start working on the other tower, and I discovered there's a nice click effect, but it didn't really line up quite as I wanted. I also wish the towers could be a little thinner, but again, I think that might be an issue with the space provided in the demo. I also figured out how to increase the height of the walls, which is a nice touch, and apparently you can also cut the walls in half, which is quite cool. The next step was to start building the back of the castle, and I decided to just follow the line of the circle around. Again, you can see me having trouble here trying to make a straight wall. I do not have the steadiest hands. But after zooming in and checking it a few times to make sure it lined up right, I decided it was okay. Also, it started to get a bit dark here, and I thought that was so cool. I really like how the daylight changes as you're playing the game. Tower number 3 is now down. That was pretty quick. I did try to play around with it a little, and this is when I discovered the edit tools. They really help to get everything exactly as you want it, from raising the height to the thickness of the building, and even rotating the roofs. You can really customize the building in the way you want to, even by changing the colors of the building. So my next step was to turn everything into stone, as I thought that fit best with the Disney castle. I zoomed in and out a few times just to make sure everything lined up the way I wanted it to, but I was honestly pretty happy with it. Then it was time to do the other tower, so tower number 4 is going down on the right-hand side, I guess, and just nudged it a little bit there to avoid the edge of the building. So once again, I am struggling with my straight walls. I feel like this is going to be an issue for most of the game. But you can see me here trying to line up my tower and make sure it's as perfectly in line as it can be. And once again, zooming in to get a bit more of a look at it and increasing my wall size to make everything match perfectly. So I was using a reference picture for this build, and that's why there's a quick chop here in the time, because I was just checking my reference building and deciding what I wanted to do next. My next step is to start on the main centerpiece, so I have chosen a square building instead of a tower, and here I am trying to get it lined up firstly to look nice in front of the main entrance of the castle. Honestly, these sound effects are incredible. I could listen to these all day. The team have really done a great job with this. I figured out here that I can change the color of the roofs. Unfortunately, there's no blue, so I went for green, which is the closest I could get. Next was to start adding on, I don't even know what they're called, the little towers that stick out the side of a castle. So I started working on that. The next step was the really tall tower in the center of the picture. This one was going to be the hardest to build because it's so intricate, and I'm not really sure how well I can represent that in the game. But I started to build it and then realized there is a limit to how tall you can make your towers, which sucks. So I decided to cheat the game a little and built a second tower on top of my first tower. I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but honestly, by the time I moved it around a little bit and lined it all up, it looked okay. Here I am trying to make sure it looks nice from every angle, and then adding a few windows because I think that'll look nice. I like being able to see that the build is really coming together while I'm building. I mean, look how nice it looks already, and we're barely even starting. We've still got so much left to build. Now I am starting with the gatehouse. I wasn't really sure how this was gonna turn out, but I was determined to add it on. Oh, there's the cool roof turn. Really nice feature. That looks so good. Only issue is my little gatehouse is too tall now, so let's shrink it down a little so you can actually see the castle behind it. I'm doing a lot of like moving around here to make sure everything's visible. This is a really funny bit where I raised the bottom of the castle, and because I did that, it ended up on stilts, which is quite funny. Just don't look at my castle from the back and everything looks great. One of the things I love the most about the Disney castle is the really tall roofs. I think they're such a fun little touch. And I definitely love how in Tiny Glade you can make your roof as tall as possible. I do wish there were lines or something to help me line everything up though. That would be a really nice touch for the game. Oh, I'm fighting with the tower again. Okay, so we're back to the really tall tower. Also, did you notice how the windows just lit up as it became nighttime? That is so nice. This game is full of so many cool quality of life features like that that really make it stand out for me as a player. Now, I just noticed on the reference image that all of these towers have sort of a mini roof halfway down, and decided that I was going to try and mimic that by stacking towers on top of each other. It actually turned out okay, especially with this first one that I'm working on now. It took a little bit of fiddling to work it out, but I think it looked really nice. And then I remembered that I'd started working on the gatehouse and then given up on it, so I just took a little light in there for now to make it look nice. And now I'm adding more windows. This was a little bit annoying because I couldn't add windows around the sides. I think because I had sort of mashed too many pieces together. But these windows do look super cute, and I'm really happy with how this is going so far. It's already starting to look really good. Anyway, now that I've done this to one tower, I decided I had to do it to every tower that was the same. So that's what I'm working on here, and also just trying to make them all the exact same height so that they all match. And once again, we're having a window issue with this one. I want to make them look as accurate as possible, but also the lack of windows is really sad. Anyway, now we're back to the main structure of the castle. And now that I'd had a little play around with the front, I really wanted to focus on making that look as nice as possible. So this big tower was definitely the bane of my playthrough. I redo this so many times throughout the game. Especially once I discovered this bit. So you can remove the roof entirely and just have the battlements, I think they're called. I thought this perfectly matched the reference image, as there's kind of balconies and things there, and while I didn't think I could represent those, I thought these little battlements did a really good job. And now that I'd been able to do it with that, I wondered, could I do that with other things? So we're back to the gatehouse again, because I wanted to see if I could do this with the gatehouse to make it look a little bit more fancy than it does at the moment. You can see here that I'm messing around with it, trying to get it to look as nice as possible. And I drag it down a little bit, and then it looks like a cute little balcony, and when I try to put a window there, it turns into a door, which is amazing. Although I tried to put another door next to it in the hope that they combine like a window, but it didn't happen. It still looks so cute though, and has become a bit of a focal point for my castle. All right, another quick zoom out to check on proportions, and really happy with how this is going so far. We're about halfway through the build, but there is still more that I want to do. First, I start by switching my roof around and then making it really tall to try and match that reference image again. And then I decide I want to make it even fancier. So we're back with a second building to try and kind of replicate what is going on in a reference photo with the fancy windows. I love that you can just build any building into another one in this game. It really lets me be creative and do ridiculous things like this to try and make it look realistic. I'm just fiddling around a bit here, trying to line everything up. It's a bit annoying that you can see the roof through it, but I managed to get it where you just about can't see it. So that worked really well. I know that they're going for a kind of a bit cozy, a bit ramshackle, a bit cottagecore with this, but I would love to be able to add little fancy bits on the top of the roofs. I think that'd be so cool. Okay, we're on to the next bit. We're trying to build the tower behind the castle now. It's kind of poking through on the reference image if we have a look at it again, right at the back. My main issue with this is that there isn't enough room in the circle for me to kind of move the towers enough to give me enough space to see this one through the others. But I definitely make do with the space that I have. My next step is to try and make this tower a little bit wider to make it look a bit more impressive. This is definitely the main tower. Or at least from looking at the reference image, I have never actually been to Disney. I would love to go to Disney one year. But for now, I only have a reference image to look at. We're doing a good job though, I think, going off this. It's already looking so extravagant and fancy, and I'm excited to keep going. Next up, we're building another tower. This one's cool though, because it's a square tower instead of one of the round ones, which is a little bit different. We're starting with these battlements again, and then we're going to stack another one on top of it. Have you ever played Sims where they sort of mash all the pieces together to make a bit of furniture or a better bit of wall or something? That's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of mashing everything together until it looks the way I want it to look. I know that's probably not how you're supposed to play these games, but I was enjoying it, so it was fun trying to be creative to try and get as close to the reference image as I could, and I think I'm doing a good job at it, if I do say so myself. Let me know how you think I'm doing in the comments. Honestly, it's really starting to come together, and I'm wondering what else there is to do without filling out the entire back of the castle. I decided to try and match this other tower with the ones at the front. So that's just what I'm doing here, adding that extra tower on top of it and then the windows. I also noticed that all of the walls have windows as well, so I dropped those on quickly to just add a little bit more, and I noticed that this wall hadn't been raised, so I quickly did that too. It was really, really starting to come together at this point, and I wasn't 100% sure on what more I could do to it. So I decided to add yet another tower at the back of the castle. If I had trouble fitting the third one in, I definitely had trouble fitting this one in. As you can see, there really isn't much room going on here. I was trying to squeeze as many towers into the space as I could. Oh, I've just deleted that because I noticed that there is another square tower at the bottom of this round one. And you know me, I want to make it as perfect as possible. So I added a square base to the tower. And as you can see, I am very pressed for space here. There is not much space at all at this side of my castle. But I still wanted to try my best to create it. And I think I'm doing a good job. It's looking really nice. And once again, I'm just trying to make it as accurate as possible by adding in the different layers. I really love that you can do this in the game. I'm just having a little shuffle around here, trying to make everything fit if possible, and try to make it look as nice as it can from the front, or as accurate as it can from the front. It might look a little bit densely packed, but I definitely think it could look better if I had a little bit more room to spread things out. I'm happy with it though. I think it's looking great. And it's almost time to do a big reveal and show you how it looks. I mean, you've already got a little glance here at what it looks like. I decided to add one more tower to the build, another little one going off the side of one of the other towers. And then after that, it was just a case of finishing everything off. I decided to match these two windows to make this bit look a bit more ornate. And that's when I realized you could tap on the windows to change how they looked, which is so cute. I played around here a little. I really wanted the box of flowers and to not have any towels or anything dangling from the windows. I think this looks good. Oh, and here I am building yet another building because I wanted to make it even more accurate by adding this little half roof halfway down. As you can see, I'm trying to fit in every detail to make this as accurate as possible. And while I was there, I decided to hide the little stilts from the bottom as well. As you can see, I think this looks amazing. I am so happy with how it's turning out, and as we enter this final night, I think it is time to have a look at the final build. Here is my Disney castle. Before filming this final little overlook, I made sure to change all the walls to stone. I made the walls of the main castle orange, which is the closest color I could get to pink to try and reference the actual castle. And I also messed around with a few windows, added an extra building at the back to make it a bit more full on the other side as well. How did I do? Okay, so it wasn't perfect, but I tried my best. The demo was maybe a little limited for my grand ideas, so maybe we'll revisit this at full release. Let me know in the comments what you thought of my Disney castle, and if you give it a try yourself, let me know how you get on. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more cozy gaming content. I hope to see you next time. Bye!